This is why I love to long line. I mean, that's a nice crappie. Hello everybody, this is Jeff Mann with Team Reelin the Blues. Most times you see me doing a video, it's either how to fix something on a boat, or catfishing. Well, today we're changing it up a little bit. I kind of got the itch to do a little bit of crappie fishing. Ain't nothing like those big old specks when they get about this time of year. Right now it's around October. They're starting to get right up here in these creeks pretty good. I like to long line for them. And that's why I always say I think crappie fishermen make some of the best catfishermen, because we're used to reading our graph, trying to get as close to cover as we can, and we're used to trolling. And like I say, a lot of these guys that, like me, I crappie fished all the time, then decided, hey, I like to catfish too, started catfishing. It was pretty easy for me to make that transition. Now, I still don't really care for drifting for catfish. I do it when I have to, but not all the time, or if I'm just out for people trying to get them on numbers. But as you can see, it's pretty much the same spread you use for a catfish. I've got this line is got an 1/8 ounce jig on it. That one's got a 1/16 ounce jig. All these in the middle have got 1/16 ounce jigs. The two outside are 1/8 ounce. The two bottom ones right here, they've got a 1/2 ounce weight dragging just barely off the bottom. Today, what I'm pulling is jig heads with a little tube jig, and I'm tipping them with minnows, just because of the fact I'm trying to get some numbers here. I've already caught, I think, about a dozen crappie. Nothing really big. I'm going to get out here in the mouth of the creek. Right now I'm in the back of a creek. But I'm going to get out here toward the mouth of the creek, and I believe I'll pick up more fish. Now, this time of year, you can get around cover, around brush, around some boat docks. And you can limit out on crappie pretty quick. But like I say, when it comes to crappie fishing, I just love to long line troll for them. Now, the thing about long line trolling for crappie is your speed is really critical, because you got to think, you got all these different size jig heads. So each one of those jig heads, depending on how far you threw it out, is going to float a little bit higher in the water column. Now, there is no really rule of thumb on this. What I usually do, if I change lines, I always use the same size line, 6-pound test line. So I know about what speed it takes to get my jigs down about 10 to 12 foot deep. But just like I said on one of my crappie videos, or one of my catfish videos, if you start to make a turn and all of a sudden your outside rods start catching fish, what's happening is the speed is increasing on that outside. Those jigs are coming up a little bit higher in the water column. And if you start catching fish on the outside rods, then you know you need to pick your speed up just a little bit. Same way, if you start catching them on the inside rods, you need to slow down a little bit. That means the lines are getting a little bit closer to the bottom. But I will literally slow down to the point that I start to see my jigs dragging the bottom, and you can tell when they're dragging the bottom because you'll see the rod tips bouncing. As soon as you start to see that, I'll bump it up a couple clicks. As long as I'm on a good flat plane where I'm only like, it's 18 foot deep and it stays 18 foot to about 16 foot, you can do that. But if you start to see things bouncing, you know your jigs are starting to hit the bottom, just bump it up 1 click on your autopilot. Get them up just a little bit higher. If you don't start catching any fish, bump it up again. What that'll do is it'll raise them jigs up just a little bit higher. Alright, let's see if we can get us a monster in the boat. I'd like to get 2 about that big. I just happened to notice on the screen the crappie were up about, I don't know, 4 to 5 foot off the bottom. So what I done was I just bumped the speed up. The minute I bumped the speed up, he tagged it. I mean, that's gonna make a nice little sandwich right there. Looks like another nice one. I think I got one on that rod right there too. You can see the line's going sideways. Oh yeah. Oh, that's another decent slab right there. That's why I like crappie fishing. Just scoot them along the surface. Oh yeah, that's another nice one. Oh, my line's a mess. Get him over here. There's you another one. Like I say, you just can't beat long lining for these things. See what I caught him on? There. Nice little slab crappie. Oh, yeah, I do got one. I'll get him in a second. He ain't no big one. But he's bigger than a bean. Oh yeah. There's another little nice sandwich. He's over 8 inches. He's an eater. Nice little crappie. That ain't bad. I have to turn around and go back through there. Well, he wasn't coming off. Nice little crappie right there. Gonna make 2 nice sandwiches. Let me show you how I rig this up. Some people will tie a loop like this, tie the loop, they'll stick it through there and do a simple thing like that, or they'll tie it directly to the jig like this. But what I do, I'll run the line through the eye like that. So you got it floating like this right here. And what I'll do, that's when I'll tie my loop. Like I say, we're dealing with crappie here. I'll do a double pass on it. I'll cinch the knot up, wet the knot, and then tie it. Sometimes I'll go back and tie another little loop in it, but I'll show you why I do this. So, the reason why I do that is, see, now this knot is not holding that jig. So you can see how much movement that jig has. Where if you tie the knot directly to it, it kind of holds it rigid and it don't let it flop around like you want it to. And then all I'm doing is I'm using a simple, just an old standard tube jig, sliding it right up on it. Now you can see how much movement this thing has. The knot don't hold it. It'll flop around real good, and if you get up on a brush pile, you can jig that thing and that thing will dance like crazy. All right. And I tip these today. I'm tipping them with minnows because I'm getting a lot of short strikes from perch. So I'm tipping these with minnows. That way if the minnow gets knocked off, I still got my jig down there and I still got something to catch the crappie with. All right. I hope this gets you on your personal best crappie. Got a big school coming up on the screen right now. Missed that one, got too jumpy. Got too jumpy. Got too jumpy. Oh, good, Doug. They're in here. They're thick. Missed it. Seen him hit it. There's one. He ain't a monster, but it's a crappie. It's a decent one. Oh yeah. like I'm having crappie for dinner tonight. Yeah, they just skip across the surface when you get them. Like good. Oh, he's plenty long enough. About 50-50, I catch just as many on my jigs as I am on my just plain minnow. Got about 10 that size. That's plenty for a good meal. Oh yeah. It's time to get my butt to the house. We'll do one more loop and then call it a day.